Teacher leaders in the Hartford School District wanted to try lesson study, but felt that the district wasn't quite ready to dive in. Instead, they started small, asking teachers to reflect on problems of practice through teacher videos. Videos featured students working on a district goal of constructing arguments and backing up their claims with evidence in language arts, math, and science.
What would you say lesson study is? How would you describe it?
You started it.
I did start it. I was just going to say, you two started it. I'm just saying.
The lesson study
You went to a conference, both of
that
you.
I had envisioned and wanted to make happen included working with a team of teachers, probably at a grade level, looking very deeply at a lesson, a math lesson in my case, to plan it, to think about what misconceptions kids might have, what are questions we could ask to draw those out, how we can address them, and then how we can best use productive questioning or activities to teach a concept, and then how would we assess how well the kids did. Working with a group of teachers to do the planning, and then have one teacher teach the lesson while the rest of us watched and took some data on unidentified part, and then get together to debrief the lesson and what went well and what did we need to change, and then the rest of the team would then be free to teach the lesson.
So we have a story to tell.
Great. That's why we're here.
Linda brought it to us to as you know, this idea of doing this with all of our teachers, and we thought we would do it ourselves first.
Just among the
three of us. Yes. So Linda volunteered to go first, I think, right?
No, I think
Susan went first. That's right.
Yeah.
Susan went first. And so we did all of the parts, and it went really well. We loved it. Tried it again. We, tweaked some things. What occurred to us as we were going through this is not only the trying to figure out how to get teachers to go through this process in a timely manner, because it didn't work so well when we had to keep rescheduling and wait and never really got to the final reflection piece with Linda. And we also thought about the fact that we're very comfortable with each other. We work together really well, and we have for many years. So for us to have that kind of conversation and videotape each other and watch the video, we're very comfortable doing that. And we thought, our teachers have never done anything like that before. And we didn't want to ask them to sort of jump into this process blindly, so we designed something a little bit different. We decided to kind of pull back a little bit and get them sort of introduced to the fact, to the process of videotaping and reflecting on the videotape using a problem of practice, and using a video protocol.
Okay.
But what the teachers are doing this year is they are videotaping themselves and then bringing it to our meetings, our grade level meetings, and we watch it. And they usually
the teacher asks for feedback on something, and so we watch the video and take some data, and then we
have a debrief about it.
So it's this.
Video analysis was part of a larger district goal to improve student discussions. During in-service days, the teacher leaders provided professional development about effective discussions and the use of the video protocol. Teachers then had 3 half-day grade-level meetings when they met with the teacher leaders and their peers to analyze and receive feedback on videos of their students engaged in discussions.
Both of those things.
The other part that we haven't said is we're focused on a goal. It's a district goal to construct viable arguments based on evidence and critique the reasoning of others, which bridges ELA,
all
math,
subject
and
areas.
science. So the videos need to be, the problem of practice needs to be something related to our goal.
Right.
Okay.
So it's,
And it can be, and when they are meeting with us, it's around discussions. So it's around students doing discussions and teachers facilitating discussions, whether it's in ELA, math, or science. So when they meet with me, we're watching them do a discussion around science. And then, Linda, it's math, and then Kathy, it's ELA. So that, and it's the idea that bridging that you can be doing discussions and having students do the critiquing of others and providing evidence and support their thinking in all those areas.
Right.
helping teachers to realize that that talk is just as valuable as having students sit in their seats and do a math lesson around, problem solving at their seats, and giving them time to really talk that out. Because as a teacher, you get a lot of information. So we've been talking about that a lot with teachers, but this helped to move it to that next level of pushing it into their classroom and having them try it as an expectation.
Right.
So
And it's all in their action plans. It's in the district.
Right.
It's in their each of their school action plans, so it's tied to the action plan.
And most teachers also have it in their professional development
goals. Yes.
Goals for the year.
So you have some other activities going on around the goal, and this video observation piece is just one.
It fits in
strategy,
and it's in a that smaller group setting, more just around your grade level, and how to continue that practice and taking what you've learned in a bigger setting in the professional development or in service days and applying it more into your classroom and into a smaller setting.
Right. We didn't want to just do an in-service unrelated to anything that they would be practicing.
So everything this year related to that. And August was having Linda go through the process and having teachers see that process of what we were going to do with the videos. And then in October, we really did a lot of work around what are discussions,
right?
What
Talk
makes a good
moves.
discussion, talk moves, and we did it through the lens of science. And they did an experiment with airbags and all of that, and then they took it and they were participating in some form in a science discussion around argument, with evidence. And then that was that October, and then January. We've developed a discussion rubric that 2 times this year teachers put in data about their students, about whether or not they're starting to reach that goal. And then in January, our professional development was we
presented the data.
On our students around discussions, continuing what we've been doing for the year, but also starting to prep for
Next year.
So it sounds like you're sort of doing some kind of content work, not necessarily the subject area content, but even content about discussion in your in-service.
Yes.
And then these are half-day releases that you have with the grade levels 3 times a year, where this video component, this application piece is coming in.
Right.
Given that analyzing classroom video can feel risky for some teachers, the coaches knew they needed to provide a safe and productive learning environment. Toward that end, they referred to norms established in previous meetings, used a video protocol, and encouraged interested teachers to bring video, rather than requiring everyone to do so.
But also, just kind of talking about some norms in the group, as a group, not so much the video protocol, but also norms of, making sure that everybody, all good intentions are here, that
And
this
they've
is a
heard
safe,
those norms
and
a
they've
lot.
heard
We
them a
review
lot.
them often. They've heard them in the mentoring program when they were, mentored.
So, and really establishing those and kind of refreshing those at the beginning, that this is a safe environment,
These are our norms.
These are our norms.
It's a professional conversation.
Yeah.
So it's different than a personal conversation, and the norms help that.
So it sounds like you all have you've been in your roles for a while, so the teachers all know you, other than folks who have left and new folks come in. So you already had some of the community building and some of the sort of expectations around how we have professional learning conversations established, and so you could use some of that.
Yes.
You were kind of standing on that foundation when you started this process. So that's a big,
very important.
Sounds like a really important piece.
We wouldn't have been able to do what we did this year without that.
Right.
Yeah.
Was the first hurdle as a district is to get the teachers together by grade level, and then we got really constructive feedback saying we like this, so we wanted to keep that and encourage that model of still grade levels getting together at least 3 times this year. And then what we did change was then we added in this videotaping and the idea of looking at your practice. So that's, and still building that sense of community and trust and respect of each other, and just really building that piece. So I feel like we're still in that infancy of building that for each grade level, and that they are collaborating and working together and seeing it as a viable time. So.
We really felt like using a protocol helped sort of level the playing field and build that trust and collegiality, and it works pretty well. People are pretty used to doing it now.
Feedback. What does your protocol do that helps keep that teacher safe so that that feedback is respectful and productive? And
Well, I think one of the things that helps keep it safe is that it's focused on data. That, collecting data about something that the teacher has asked us to collect data on. So, for instance, a teacher might ask, could you keep track of the kinds of questions I ask? Or just write down every time I ask a question, write the question down. And then I want to know, am I asking just recall questions, or am I asking questions of students that I want them to think about, deeper understanding questions? So it takes it a little bit off of what I'm doing necessarily, like or what's going wrong in the classroom. It's very focused on something.
Right. And teachers aren't free to say, and a critical thing, right? Because it's just about...
It's about the data. Oh, I noticed you asked this many questions. This is a question you asked. That sounds like this kind of question.
So the observers are very clear about their role, so they know what they're giving feedback on, and that has been determined by the teacher, and now you're saying sort of by and you've had some input as teacher leaders in that planning conversation.
Right.
Perfect.
Well, part of it is they're taking a risk. They're showing a video of themselves that's imperfect to their colleagues.
Right.
And some people are more comfortable with that than others. So the people who are doing it have volunteered.
It's a volunteer. We ask them only to volunteer once. So if they've already done an ELA, we are not asking them to do another one.
But some have volunteered more than once.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
So how many teachers at a grade level, like in a group? Just approximately?
6 or 7.
So there will be some folks who won't ever share a video.
Right. Theoretically, that would be their turn next year.
They'll be
So
it'll
they
just
may just not be ready yet. To do that and to see how it all goes. And
the teacher leaders reflected on and improved on their process as time went on.
Susan, then we could get down, like they didn't necessarily see that watching this video and talking about a problem of practice could affect them in their classroom. So helping, after we get that feedback, we start asking different questions at the end and trying to...
One of the things that I added in at the end of, I think it was my first round.
After the first 2 meetings.
Right at the end, we had done the discussion, we looked at the video, they had provided constructive feedback to the teacher, and then I said, okay, so now just take a minute, write down in your notebook, what is something based on the video you saw or the ideas that you just proposed to this teacher, what is something you're going to take away and use in your classroom? And it was the quietest 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, because teachers never get a chance to have an opportunity to reflect. And then they shared out. So then the expectation is then you were going to share out and share to your colleagues what is something you're going to go try in your classroom. So it was, you put it on paper, but then you also put it to voice. And that was the part that all of a sudden helped to change it from being about the teacher that was video,
Right.
to also about what I can do about my
Right.
practice.
There was suddenly video after the first round. They were unclear about what to show. I got videos of perfect lessons,
Like
that
performing
they had
kind of thing?
redone like 7 times. I redid this video 7 times, and I finally got it. Whoops! I'm pounding on the table. I finally got it to work, and I got this
Interesting.
great lesson to show. So then we realized, oh shoot, we missed a piece, So after that, I've been meeting with the teacher who's going to be showing a
Yes.
video and deciding what they might want to video, talking about discussions and what part of our goal is challenging for them.
And you feel like the sort of, not the quality, but maybe it's more the realism of the videos has
Right.
changed, or
Yeah.
And the
the focus
understanding
is more
of the
clear.
purpose of the activity is
Right,
better.
right. Yeah, definitely. And and that was the other piece. It was like the reflection piece. We realized we could do a small little one in the process, and then the planning component. We realized, and it doesn't usually take very long. You go into a teacher's planning time or meet with them.
Right.
In about 15, 20 minutes, they've identified
ready, yeah.
something that, because they've been doing discussions along the way, and then this is the lesson, this is what I want to videotape, and this is what I want us to look at.
I think.
So do you feel like principals are on board with it, or do you think it came from your curriculum director?
I think they do it because they're supposed to do it.
The principals.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things that we need to do better
we're
next
trying
year.
to change that.
Yeah.
Yes, so we also felt that there was a need to sort of build a better rapport between the teacher leaders and the principals, because it felt very top down and not collaborative. So hopefully, the goal is that for next year, that whatever we decide to do is going to be a collaborative effort, and not something that they're told to do, but it comes from them and comes from us, and that we've worked together to figure out what this plan is. There'll be better buy-in and better support. The feedback that we get from them, we tell them all the time, this feedback is so important to the work that we're doing, and we look at it very seriously. We also show the results of the feedback at on the next in-service, or that we show data. This is what you all said. Here's what you said that we need to work on. Here's what you said you liked. So this is what we've done with that. So they actually see their feedback being used. That's really important. People don't want to give feedback that they'll give you bad feedback. They'll just say, "Oh, the feedback you'll get is the room was cold.
Right.
The muffins were really good."
Yeah.
we got that sometimes, and we don't get that anymore.
No.
So that's very encouraging.
And one example is even around the rubric that we put out to them, around the discussion rubric. In August, we put it out to them, and we said, look at it. I said, this is a work in progress, and we got some really nice constructive feedback on the fly. We said, okay, we'll make those
made a
changes.
change
making these changes.
during the in-service.
During the in-service. And, again, we got some more feedback on how did it, now that they've used it, how did it go? So it's constantly letting them know that we're hearing them, and we're making those changes based on what they say.
Yeah. We are.
What advice would you give other people who were trying to either do a similar thing that you're doing, or even looking ahead to lesson study?
Based on teachers' feedback and based on our own reflection, we changed the process a little bit, and that's okay. and don't think that you have everything exactly the way it's going to happen.
It's not.
And that it can be a process that evolves through the year, and you keep tweaking it and making it better.
Any big change that you want to make is going to take a really long time. It's slow. And because, maybe I'll make this change in my practice this year with this group of kids, but next year I get another group of kids, and it's often just you fall back on what you're comfortable with instead of remembering. So you need to practice and work on it for years before a change is really made.
So you have that mirror going where you're asking your teachers to be reflective practitioners and to be okay with it not being perfect, and you're doing the same things yourself.
That's really